Good evening all and welcome to episode 31 of the Sky Fantasy Podcast by Fantasy Football Hub as we look ahead to Game Week 13. My name is Andrew and I'm joined as usual by three of the most successful Sky managers in the game. Firstly, Paul McAnulty. Paul, how was your weekend been?
Yeah, it's been okay. I think I picked the captains that were owned by most, so just staying with the pack, not too much differentiating.
What was that, Van Aanholt, Bruno, KDB, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty standard this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was like 94% ownership for Bruno in the top 1,000. So I imagine most owners will have captained them. Yeah, most owners will have captained them as well. So
yeah, just on that, it was a bit disheartening yesterday that Diaz only played like whatever it was, an hour or 70 minutes, and KDB played really well and got 2 assists. And Diaz outscored him. That may be something to think about going forward, because obviously if Diaz had stayed on the pitch, he would have had the extra points of pass and whatever else as well.
That shot off the inside of the post in the last minute, so 16-point swing for captains.
Unbelievable. That would have got back the points from DCL. Whoever captained him on both games would have clawed a bit back. Yeah. But yeah, we also have former Sky winner Dan Cox with us. Dan, how's it going?
Yeah, not bad, mate. You?
I'm well. I'm a bit hungover, but other than that, I feel like crap. Other than that, I'm all right. How's your weekend been? You got like Zuma and Gabrielle and everyone else, haven't you? You doing all right?
Yeah, it's been. Do you know? I said on our WhatsApp chat, it's like today is pretty boring, really, because everyone was going to captain Bruno, and there's no gains. Is there? Like yesterday, you could have had Salah, or are you going to go against De Bruyne and go for Salah or Calvert-Lewin? Even there's a few, but today it just felt to me like the only option was Bruno, so it's a bit like, whatever. If he scores 10 goals or not, it don't really matter, does it? Do you know what I mean? Because most people have got him. So, it's been all right weekend. To say happy with Zoom, a clean sheet, passing again, and Gabrielle goal. And yeah, it's been all right, mate. Not too bad.
I think with Kane, he's like Spurs have just changed their tactics, haven't they, now completely to just win the game. I'm sure we'll touch on Kane later because he's obviously a very expensive asset for... I don't think he barely touched the ball today, did he? We are also graced today by fixture guru and birthday boy, Ian Parrin. Happy birthday, Ian. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Andrew. How you doing, Paul, Dan?
Really well, thanks.
All good. Is it 39 or 40 today, Ian?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah.
Something like that, is it?
50 tomorrow.
50 tomorrow. Many congratulations, mate. 50 years of all that experience and know-how and knowledge, no doubt.
The first time I played a fantasy football game of any type was in Shoot magazine in about 1986.
86. Even I was only.
And you had to pick a team to get out of the old 4th division on 100,000 budget, and that wasn't weekly wages. That was transfer value.
Wow, Christ! Okay, brilliant.
I think we've had this discussion before, but I've been using your planning spreadsheet for about 6 years now, since the hubs.
On the old WordPress days, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. When Will used to do the WordPress diary, I think there was about 4 or 5 of us used to interact every week on the bottom of it, and you and I were 2 of those.
Yeah.
Superb.
Back in the day, that was the old Gabbiadini season, I think, wasn't it? When he had that double game week, everybody brought him in. And then Kane scored something like 7 goals in the last 2 games. Yeah, took me from like 5th to 40th or something like that.
Everyone brought Gabbiadini in on the Sunday, and he got injured, and then they were wanting to use him for a captain the following week.
That's right.
It's happened Ings and Wilson and this season. So
yeah, much of the same.
Great stuff, chaps. As we are live, please feel free to join in the chat at any time. Let us know your thoughts on the topics or the relevant sections, and feel free to ask some questions for us to answer at the end. Good evening all. Phil Speck, Martin Beasley, Liam Dorrian, Auto Reclose, John Maloney, Peter G, Adam Byram, Luke, James Street, Adam Moores, Marius, Norman Conquest, and Frank FF. So if they don't even I can see on the screen, I know there's a lot more. Welcome all. Great to have you on. And hopefully we've got a good show for you this evening. For any new watchers and listeners, if you haven't subscribed to us yet, please press the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen and set the alerts so you don't miss our live streams, which are 9 p.m. every Sunday evening right here on this channel. Also, please press the like button if you enjoy our content. Can we have a like of heaven, please? That would be very, very useful.
Just like it if you don't enjoy it as well. Don't put the
camera. Well, yeah, I like that. just like it anyway. Yeah, I like that. That's good. So this evening, Paul will share some bonus stats for us. Dan will share some ownership and transfer stats. Ian will run through the December fixtures for us, and between us all, we will look to pick out the 3-for-1s, the really good opportunities to jump on players, who the options are, who we think the best options are, and give some options for how to best attack them. We will answer some questions from Twitter, look ahead to Sky Game Week 13, and share our plans, give some mini league updates, and finish off with a very angry Dan as usual. So straight into it. And Paul, do you want to share your weekly stats?
Yeah, on the screen, is that from Saturday?
Friday.
You got Fridays as well? Perfect. So Friday night's game was the heavily owned and captained PVA. So he was the only player on the park to pick up passing bonus, which surprising, but well received considering the late goals that they conceded to kill the clean sheet points for those that captained. I know Guaita, there was a few people had Guaita as well. So really not much to talk about. Van Aanholt's passing tiers, and I guess Joelinton, Shelvey, Manquillo and MacArthur are all practically zero owned. So not much grounds to be made there. On Saturday, then we've got Brighton against Liverpool. Bissouma pick up 8 tackles. Impressive return from him. So a nice 5-pointer from him. And I guess Robertson's obviously highly owned still. I know a lot of people are trying to find the best time to move Robertson to Diaz. I think you just bite the bullet now if you're going to do it and get it done with. But Robertson picked up tier 1 passes, 1 short of tier 2. So a 4-point return for him. Moving on to the 3 o'clock game, Man City against Burnley. I guess the standout for me or point of interest is Walker. So Liam Dorrian talked about him on our stream on Friday night. 13-point return for him with an assist, passing tier, and he just looks attacking all the time. I know people are saying that Cancelo might come in for him and give him the odd rest, but even if he plays 5 out of the next 6 or 6 out of the next 7, like it's looking. I thought he was. I'm sure last season he was 10 point something, and the fact that he's come down in value, I think makes him a nice. I wouldn't say alternative to Diaz, but a nice person to sit alongside him for those that want to take a double up there. Diaz picked up tier 1 passing before he went off. It's nice of Pep to leave him on for the extra couple of minutes to make sure he got the passing tier. And we know Mary's got the hat trick, so we've got the shots bonus. I guess nothing like value-wise, nothing else really to talk about there. That takes us to Everton Leeds. So Calvin Phillips, who I thought was excellent, he picked up man of the match from Sky, picked up tier 2 passing. Click picked up tackle bonus. I don't know if there's anybody still hanging on to him, and penalty taker, so a lot of people picked him on the overhaul. I imagine people might have lost patience with him a bit now though. Harrison and Rafinha with shots bonus. Rafinha might be a nice differential for those that are looking. Leeds have got a nice run in after a couple of games time. Rodriguez picked up shots bonus. Can tell people are starting to get a little bit tired and looking to move him on. Richarlison picking up tackles and shots bonus. Nothing unfortunately for Calvert-Lewin for those owners and captainers. And then West Brom against Sheffield United. So we'd mentioned Gallagher on our squad quite a few times for tackles, but he actually got shots bonus as well as the goal yesterday. So a nice return for him. And again, not much else to speak about from that front. Today's games. So start off with Southampton, Man United. So quite a few bonus here. McCarthy. I know a lot of people were talking about McCarthy as an alternative to Patricio or Guaita for those looking to move on, particularly if they didn't have Southampton or Brighton cover for that single match day. So he picked up shots bonus again. And I think if Southampton had kept on for a clean sheet, he could have been, him or Ward-Prowse would have probably picked up the man in match award. Bednarak picked up passes. But it's Vestergaard that's the value pick there. It's 6.4 or 6.5. Romeo picked up tackles, only 3 passes away from passing bonus. Walcott shots, Fernandez shots, Van de Beek, Fred with tackles, both lowly owned. Matic with passes, again, lowly owned. And then Cavani, who might offer a nice differential coming up, he picked up the shots bonus along with the man of the match, 2 goals and an assist. So nice return for him. And then the Chelsea Tottenham game, the back four for Chelsea, as usual, picking up passing bonus. Zuma looking like has to be the best value player in the game just now, surely, with the run that he's on. I know Dan's an owner. So a nice 9-point return for him after his booking. Kante's gone under the radar. Like, he's picked up double bonus a couple of times this season. He was 1 tackle away from picking up double bonus again today, which Kovacic did do. Probably the less interesting of the two. And then Lloris picked up saves bonus, so a nice 11-point return for Lloris owners today as well.
Superb, buddy. It'd be really good, maybe, next week, you used to do a bit of an overall one. I think that would be really useful because we haven't done it for a few weeks. It'd be really good to see who's smashing the bonuses on a regular basis. But just to say, all these graphs are off ffstuff.co.uk. This is off his live match center. If you haven't seen it, go and have a look. If you play TFF or Sky or Dream Team, it's absolutely superb.
Gabriel's just picked up passing bonus for Arsenal as well.
Here we go. Get a little bonus there then. Dan, have you got some ownership stats for us?
Yeah, I'll go through. Right, I'll come to this in a minute. Right, if everyone want to guess who the most transferred player in this week was, you'll never get it right. Don't cheat and look on FF Stuff's site. Have a think who you think the top most brought in player is, right? And I'll go through the other stuff. So average transfers remaining. Top 10 is 4.2, top 100 is 12.3, top 1,000 is 20.3, and the top 5,000 is 23.6. So all far, far too low. Especially that top 10, 4.2, safe to say that none of them are going to be in the top 100, top 10, anywhere by the end of the season. No offence. Top 1,000, this is the top 1,000. Now, I said I was going to not bother about looking at overall because a lot of people probably have given up or, dead teams, whatever. So the most owned player in the top 1,000 was Bruno Fernandes, 93.4. Most people would have had him captain today. So like I said, that's a bit of a muchness in it. Second is Kane, 75.8. Grealish, 74.3. De Bruyne, 64%. His has gone up a bit. Calvert-Lewin on 63.4. Jamie Vardy, 46%. Ben Chilwell, 37.5. Stuart Dallas, 36.1. Kurt Zuma, 35.4, and Patricio, 33.1. So that's your ownership. Do you want me to get straight into the 5 ins and outs?
Yeah, go on, mate.
Do you want to have a guess at who the most transferred in player was since last Sunday?
That's
Diego Jota.
I know who it is, and share your surprise, Dan. I looked at it yesterday.
Yeah, so the most brought in player, 11,000 teams, 664 is James Rodriguez. Don't get it myself, but he's one of the most in. Yeah, then Bruno Fernandes, 9,000 spot on. Calvert-Lewin brought into 7,749. Ben Chilwell into just under 6,000. And Jamie Vardy into just over 5,500. The top outs were Zaha out of 3,000.
That must count from last Sunday then, Dan, surely.
Say again, buddy?
Does that count from last Sunday then?
Yeah, so from last Sunday, yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah. That makes a bit more sense then.
So Zaha out of 43,000. Trent Alexander, he's out of 7,700. So again, people are a bit slow because he's been injured for a few weeks now, hasn't he? So, do you know what I mean? That's a bit.
It's a couple of game weeks, haven't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Lamptey out of 6,500 teams, which, considering Brighton have got the single game day coming out, they get Southampton. Yeah. They've probably just seen the red card missed this weekend and whipped him out. So,
I've wondered if you've got the stream on in the background, guys, because hearing the reverb.
Oh, yeah. Sarah's watching it. 2 ticks, boys.
Yeah, you're all right. Go on, mate. Carry on, Dan. Go on.
Werner out of 4,800 teams. He's he's been pretty disappointing, and he looks like he can really get a haul, but he just hasn't been bringing the points in. And then Aubameyang out of 4,682 teams. Again, he ain't done anything since he signed his contract, has he? He ain't done anything for months.
He's unreal.
So yeah, that's the tops, ins and outs. Yeah. That's my little bit.
Some interesting ones there. Some, as you say, especially ones like James Rodriguez in, Lamptey out, and
yeah, I think it was because they were playing Fulham in that early kickoff last week on the Sunday, and people would have made the move. But yeah, I was pretty surprised by it as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably a lot of people were moving Salah on to somebody that was playing the next day.
Yeah.
The game has finished between Arsenal and Wolves, 2-1 to Wolves, and it looks like Gabriel got some acid bonus. I'm not sure if he got tier 1 or tier 2, tier 1, I guess, but
just tier 1.
Take that indeed. Okay.
What's that, 10-pointer?
10-pointer. Anything else there, Dan?
More than that. No, that's it for my ownership and transfers and everything. So, yeah, that's the stats.
Superb. Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much. Okay, so Ian, over to you. So the first thing we're showing is a graphic of transfer use, Ian.
Okay, so this is a points per transfer graph that's going up now. And what we can see here is obviously those that have used a lot more transfers have got the higher score, no surprise, but it's more interesting to see sort of how many points per transfer they've actually got.
Yeah.
So those that are in the top 10, 982 points, but they've used, well, unbelievable really, nearly 36 transfers.
With like 10 game weeks gone, brilliant.
That's it, yeah. I saw something from, I think it was from FF Stuff, where he'd put that somebody with an open team in the top 100 had actually used all of their transfers by this week. Unbelievable. So their current rate is something like 27 points per transfer used, but they do have to have 982 points. So if they carried on this season, with the current rate of points, they'd actually score 4,146 points. But that's not going to happen. However, if they carry on with the rest of their season with their rate of transfer points, like 27 points per transfer used, they'd only end up with 1,097 points. So an average of the two, they're on for about 2,600.
Okay. And what normally wins it? It's around
3,400, something like that.
Yeah, okay. They're way off that, isn't it? Yeah, blimey.
Yeah. So you look at the top 100, their current rate of points would get them 3,900, and their current rates per transfer would get them 1,300. So again, the average of the two, 2,600. Then the top 1,000, current rate of points, 3,600 points. Current rate per transfer, 1,700 points. Average of the two, 2,600. So we're developing a theme here. They're going to be, all of these teams that we're seeing at the minute is going to be on for around about 2,600 points. So we just round it up with the top 5,000. Their current rate of points would get 3,300, and the current rate per transfer, 1,950. So tracking for 2,600. So it doesn't matter which metric you look like, the average of the two is going to get about 2,600 points.
Right, okay.
And I looked at one of my teams, and my current rate of points would end up me 3,400, and my current rates per transfer will give me 4,600. I mean, nobody's going to get 4,600 points, but that's only because I've used field transfers.
Yeah.
But again, that gives me an average of about 4,000. So, and looking at the way things are going, we're going to end up with a bigger points score to win this year than we did last year.
Yeah.
Do you remember last time we were on? Yeah. How many games we played last season? How many game days?
No.
There's 115.
Right.
Now, so far, we've had 50 for the 16 game weeks that have been scheduled so far.
Right.
And then if we have, say, 3.5, so either a 3 or a 4, depending on whether it's weekend or midweek for the rest of the season, we're going to end up with 127 game days. So you've got an extra 12, so that's 12 more captains.
I think as well,
again,
that I've noticed that quite a lot of the highly owned captains have probably hit on a lot of the days as well. It's only been, the like Salah hit on game week 1, Vardy hit in game week 1. We've had the Bruno hauls, we've had the KDB hauls, the DCL haul.
I managed to miss most of them.
A few, okay. But I think, in the main, I think, probably about 60 the 70%, I'd say, of the highest owned premium captains on that day have probably got a decent return. I would.
This is something I was doing with James from Planet FPL, and FF Stuff took it a bit further, and he's actually created some data based on the top 100.
Okay. And
we were looking at the percentage points for your captain, and the best of the open teams in the top 100 when we did this was a team called Scotty's Boys, and they've got 55.5% of their points through the captain.
Wow, a lot.
And I'd only managed to get 46.
Okay, but even though half your points as the captain, that just shows how important it is to get your captain right?
Yeah.
By me.
And when we were looking at this, my projected data on the overhaul pod, we thought, based on the amount of points that we wanted to get, 7.5 points for your captain and 5 points from your normal players, that was going to work out at 52.5% was going to be from your normal players and 47% from your captain.
Yeah.
But it seems like this year, because we've got more captaincy days, getting that captain right is getting you further ahead of the game.
And going, just kind of looking at the next month, which we will now, a lot of the captaincy days in December seem to have premium captaincy options as well. People like, Salah, KDB, Fernandes, and whoever else. There's only a few.
Yeah, we've been dealt a good hand, really.
I think we have indeed.
Yeah, we struggled in the October overhaul because they'd only given us 2 sets of fixtures.
Yeah.
But now we've got 6. You can actually make a bit of a plan, and you don't have to be keeping your transfers back thinking we don't know what's coming up in mid-December or the end of December. We've got the plan there laid out for us. We can actually go ahead and put some names to the game, as it were.
We can. So speaking of plans then, Ian, I've now got your December fixtures planning graphic on screens. The first one I've got from game week 12 to 14. So do you want to...
So this is off the planning spreadsheet on the Fantasy Football Hub. It's new for this year, the calendar. So previously we had 2-for-1s that you could see, but you didn't know who the teams were actually playing against. Whereas now we can see who's playing and on which days they're actually playing. So do you want me to go through them all for those that are on the audio, Andrew?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Well, just the the obvious kind of the 3-for-1s and stuff. Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, so the obvious sort of 3-for-1s and 4-for-2s were either Man United teams, and there's 4 teams that they have 3-for-1s and 4-for-2s with. So you've got Leicester, which is a 4-for-2, starting tomorrow and finishing on the 17th of December.
Yeah.
You've got Man United and Chelsea starting on the 20th of December and finishing on the 29th. That's a 3-for-1. Man United and Liverpool starting on the 5th of December and finishing on the 17th. That's a 3-for-1. And Man United and Arsenal, 3-for-1, starting on the 5th of December and finishing on the 17th. And then another one that might come in handy for captaincies later on in the Christmas period is a Tottenham and Chelsea, which is a 3-for-1 on the 20th of the 12th to the 30th of the 12th. So just up before New Year.
But just for those,
you stole my thunder. I had that down as a Kane to Werner potential switch for those that were looking for.
Yeah, I'm looking at that one as a Kane to Werner as well. Not just because of you get the extra fixtures, but the 2 home fixtures are possible captaincy ones as well.
Yeah, it's Chelsea at home to West Ham.
Yeah, Chelsea at home to West Ham on the Monday night football. And then on the Monday again, they've got the home game against Aston Villa. Yeah. And Man City play that day, but they're away to Everton. There's only 3 games on that bank holiday Monday.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, neither of those are the early game. But you can't have everything.
Just so we're really clear for our watchers and listeners who are not sure, kind of what 3-for-1s and 4-for-2s are. Paul, are you able to explain what it is?
Sure. So, because you've got calendar days and you've got a captaincy pick on every calendar day over a weekend or over a midweek stretch. If your player plays on, say, the first calendar day, so you had Van Aanholt on Friday night there, and Crystal Palace in 3 weeks' time didn't play till the later game. The later calendar day, if you took out Van Aanholt and brought in someone from who was playing today. Well, it doesn't really matter. Man United, to say it was a Man United player. If you moved Van Aanholt to say Maguire, and Man United played 3 games in that period of time, where Crystal Palace only play 1, and then Crystal Palace play on the game day after Man United in 3 weeks' time, then you can make the move back. I guess people traditionally do it for strikers, though. So the example that Ian and I were talking about there was Kane plays on the second game.
He plays on the Sunday, home to Leicester on the 20th.
Yeah, so that's the second game day in that sort of group of games, whereas Chelsea plays on the 3rd game day. So you get Kane's points from the game, and then you move him on to Werner. You get Werner's points for that game if you want to captain him, especially if you don't have captain coverage. Then the following set of game days, Chelsea's away to Arsenal, Spurs are away to Wolves. So that's
Wolverhampton,
So that's the 1-1. So you're 2-1 up now from the move. And then Werner's at home to Aston Villa on Monday, the 28th of December. So that's the 3-1. And then you move back on to Kane on Wednesday, the 30th of December. It makes up
added advantage of that one as well, Paul, is that Chelsea are scheduled to play Man City on the 2nd of January. So you might not want him for that game. Whereas Tottenham have got Leeds at home, scheduled the same day.
Nice.
And you might get lucky and find that the Tottenham game's scheduled for the Saturday, and then Chelsea v Man City is probably going to be moved to the 4:30 on the Sunday.
Well, okay.
That's definitely going to be the Sky pick that week.
It will, Well, you're right. Dan, what are your thoughts on the ones you've kind of have got your eye on? You know, the 3-for-1s and 4-for-2s.
There is loads. When you actually look for them, there's loads, isn't there? Like, it depends which. Like, I even joked on. I put it on Twitter on Friday night that if you take out a Palace or Newcastle player tonight, you get 4-for-2 for West Brom, right? I had a couple of people message me and said like they put that. They knew I was joking, but they put that with what Paul had said about Gallagher, and then they got a cheapos chips midfielder score from yesterday. Do you know what I mean, or something like that? But yeah, there's loads. I instantly spotted that. Liverpool over Man U or Chelsea from the 13th of December, and they play Fulham, Tottenham and Palace in them 3. Leicester or Spurs over Man U on the 6th of December. Leicester have got Sheffield United, Brighton, Everton. Tottenham have got Arsenal, Palace, Liverpool. And then, I think you mentioned it, Chelsea over Spurs or Man U from the 21st of December. They've got the West Ham, Arsenal and Villa. So they're the main ones, but there is quite a few there. So it depends how much you want to attack it, or you know, like
it depends on who you've got in your team as well, because it's only a 2 or a 3-for-1 if you've got one to get rid of.
Yeah, like you said about Werner for that Chelsea game, but I've got Zuma, so do you know what I mean? I could just captain Zuma and probably outscore Werner as it is anyway. But it depends how you want to attack.
You're still getting the single points even if you're not captaining, aren't you?
Yeah.
There's a nice one with Villa as well. So Villa play this Friday coming up, 4th of December. And if you don't have a Brighton or a Southampton cover, you'll see the team sheets on Monday the 7th. So I guess there's an outside chance that Ings plays, depending on what your formation's set up and how much budget you've got, or someone like Romeo. So you could move Grealish on to a Southampton player, captain them. So you're essentially getting a 4-for-1 in that instance if you don't have a player already. And then Villa don't play until Thursday the 17th, which is the last match day then as well. It's perhaps not as glamorous as the others, but
I know I mentioned this on I think it was on Friday's stream. I think the only thing I'd personally just be a bit careful of is, just for example, when we're talking about the Chelsea 3-for-1 and Werner playing the 3 games there, I think that's 3 games in 6 days or something, or 7 days. I would just be a bit cautious, especially if we don't see the team sheets as well, because that'll be a bit of a nightmare.
You won't see the team sheets for any of the games.
This is it. So I'd just be a bit, just I kind of bear it in mind. We've had the
first game on that Monday night football, Andrew, is Wolves v Burnley, and then you've got Chelsea v West Ham as the 8 o'clock kickoff.
Right. Okay.
And then on the 28th, when you've got 3 games, it's Palace v Leicester is the first one.
We've had a really good question off James Street. Are there any daisy chains? So rather than going back, moving to a different player.
Well, if you want to stick my next slide up, Andrew, that's what I'm going to discuss now.
We certainly will. There we go. It's up.
Okay. So This is Manchester United, Leicester, and Liverpool. Now, I am currently sitting without Mo Salah. And ideally, I want to put Mo Salah in for Jamie Vardy. But there's an opportunity with the 3-for-1s coming up between Manchester United and Liverpool that if I take Bruno out next Sunday for Mo Salah, I'll get the extra games against Wolves and Fulham, which will be a captaincy day, and Tottenham. And then what my plan is, I'd want to have Bruno back, but I can get rid of Jamie Vardy. So I can have Jamie Vardy then as captain for tomorrow, then away to Sheffield United on Sunday the 6th, and then at home to Brighton and at home to Everton on the 13th and the 16th, and then move him on again for Bruno against Sheffield United away on the 17th.
That is my exact plan. That's what I'm doing because I don't have Salah. I've currently only got Vardy and Kane, and I've got Bruno. That's exactly what I'm
and that's how you make your daisy chain transfer. You want to move one to another, but you use an opportunity to get your captaincy days, your extra game days. It costs you one more transfer, but the amount of upside you've got between those games is unbelievable. So much better than a normal 2 or 3-for-1.
Yeah, you move towards that wild card kind of team that you've got in your head, where you want to get to. Is I prefer to use the daisy chain moves to get towards that.
Liam in the chat had a few beers on Friday night and brought Cancelo in on Saturday morning. I've had a bit of a nightmare. Yeah, and but I think he's got Walker as well. So close to putting Walker in for PVA, and I just bottled it right at the. I did it, but I didn't press confirm because it would have been a few bob short for that move we're talking about there, Ian, as well.
And that's something else that somebody was putting in the chat or on Twitter on Friday, who to move PVA on for.
Yeah.
And the idea is you can move PVA on to anybody, but what you want to do is make sure you've got the right person in to allow you to do the rest of your team. So what I suggest people do, get the planner open, put whoever you want in all the way up to the end of December, which is probably going to be a Kane transfer back in on the 30th, and then work out who you've got funds for to move PVA on, and also make sure you've got the right formation allowance as well.
Yeah, I think
that.
You go, Paul.
I was going to say that fits in with the kind of Patricio question that a lot of people have asked as well, right? They've been asking who should I move Patricio onto, and should I be conscious of value in the team? But taking your point into consideration there, Ian, if you're going to be short of funds to make a move at some point in December, be conscious about who you're moving on to then. Like, you could move on to Mesley and save 0.8, or you could move on to Martinez and save 0.6. But if you don't need the cash, maybe you want to move to McCarthy for captaincy cover, or the options are there, but based on what your future plans are, I guess.
Yeah, and always look at where your most expensive 11 are. And that's the one you need to make sure you've got enough money to put him into.
I've got an example. So I fall into this trap quite a lot over the years, as I'm sure we all have, and I nearly fell into the trap again here on this one. So currently, because I've got Van Arnold at the moment, I'm playing a 5-3-2, and my plan is to move Bruno to Salah, as we mentioned earlier. Right now, as it stands at the moment, I can't because I'm on a 5-3-2. So
I'll turn you into a 5-2-3.
Exactly. So I've got Van Aanholt. So I now need to move Van Aanholt. I need to think about my Van Aanholt move to enable me to get the formation.
In then, don't you?
So what I'm going to do now is move Van Aanholt, I think, to Romeo, which covers the Monday night captaincy, also gets a nice little enabler in, but then also allows you to go Bruno to Salah. I think that's a very, very... I think you're on mute, Paul. I think you're on mute.
You're on mute, Paul.
That's my exact move.
That's your move. I think it's written down.
Very similar here as well. That's what I've already got dialed in on the planning sheet.
I was
going to do it today, but I didn't in case something happens with Salah and I don't want him next week.
Yeah, I just think that's a really kind of understated thing. And I only know because I've done it before, and you end up then having to make another transfer to enable the one you want to make. And as Paul said at the start of the season, they're the ones that just cost you so much. If you do that on 5 transfers over a season, for example, you're basically wasting 5 transfers then to kind of enable the moves you want to make. So that part of planning is so important. Dan, what do you think about that? In terms of the moves you're gonna look to make there.
I'm still trying to put together a plan. Really, they say there's so many options in there. Like right. whether I sort of move off Kane to Werner for that one, or stick with Zuma, or bring in Chilwell. Do you know what I mean? I think I'd probably rather have Chilwell. I ain't got Chilwell. I'd probably rather have him over Werner. I think because what of his attack and sort of threatens clean sheets and stuff. Probably better.
Well, if you're on 4-4-2, you can go either way, Dan. Yeah.
Yeah. So just weighing up the options really, but. I know someone was saying earlier about Kane, like they're thinking about getting rid of Kane, aren't they? Because they might not captain him in quite a few games and stuff. So just see whether I move him. I don't know really. I know Cavani got a couple today, but I'm kind of hoping that someone else pops up as a sort of worthwhile having. Because at the minute it seems like everyone's sort of got a pretty similar team, and it'd be nice to people start veering off doing different things because a bit boring otherwise, isn't it?
Remember, Aubameyang used to be an option. This is like nobody talks about him at all now.
No, he's off the radar, mate.
I think he was on our game week 1 teams one. We moved him off to KDB on one of the Monday nights, wasn't he? Absolutely crazy.
Get an assist or something. Did we get a goal or something? I think we
got a goal in one and an assist in the other or something, wasn't it? Something like that, yeah.
And then everybody did Aubameyang to KDB for Monday night at Wolves.
And he smashed in a 44-point captaincy, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just to touch on Kane, so I've got Kane. I think I wouldn't say he's a waste because obviously he can bang at any time. But one of the main reasons I'm hanging on to Kane, I think, is because I don't see any need to move him on, and I know I want him back, if that makes sense. So I don't see him scoring a lot of points in the next 4 weeks or so. I don't think there's any real captaincy need, but I personally think it's a bit of a vanity move to move to someone else, to move back to Kane, because you're going to want him back. Because I think the run from Sky Game Week 18 is just insane for a long time. And
is that the one that starts with Fulham at home?
Fulham at home, yeah. So if you're kind of using 2 transfers there, even when you may not need to, because I think we touched on Friday, in the stream. We've already mentioned that it's fairly easy to kind of navigate, I think, in it, through all of December anyway. So I think that's just something I'd throw in as well, is if you've got your plan in place and your captain in place, as Ian has mentioned earlier, so 50% of points roughly come from captain, so getting the captain is right. I think moving Kane out to move him in again, personally, a bit of a waste, especially when Kane can bang against anyone as well. So, Kane's got Arsenal next week. Would you really be surprised if he scored a brace in that game? And you've moved him on for Calvert-Lewin, for example, or someone else, and he blanks. So that's something I'd.
Yeah, I think the only time I'd be looking to move him on from my current team would be if I want to move him to somebody for that 3-for-1 between Chelsea and Tottenham at the end of December. I don't know if you want to stick that slide on, Andrew.
Yes, it's on, mate. It's on.
Okay. So the one that we're looking at there, we've got Tottenham play Leicester on Sunday football on the 20th. Yeah. And then you've got Chelsea home to West Ham on Monday night. Again, you won't see the team sheet. They do have a fixture away at Arsenal, and then they've got home to Aston Villa on, I think it's the late game, or certainly the evening game on the Monday, the 28th, the bank holiday. And the only game you're missing for Kane there is away to Wolves, which he might score. He's unlikely to score twice. So that's the difference there between looking at your daisy chain transfer and your normal bog standard 3-for-1. With your 3-for-1, you've got to make 2 moves and you're getting the same player back in. Your daisy chain, you can make as many moves as you like, but it's where you're restructuring your team.
Yeah, I think so. We just had a thing in the chat, just on just on daisy chain and just on Kane. He's moving Kane to Vardy, which is a no-brainer. I completely agree. If you're looking to cover off captaincies, I've already got Vardy, which is the reason why I'm not. We've just had a couple of questions in the chat around defenders. So Diaz, Zuma, Gabriel, all these players were kind of mopping up the bonus all the time. We've had some questions, should we be just getting them in now, rather than kind of wait for opportunities? What do you think there, Dan?
I had most of them in since the overhaul, mate, because I knew they were sort of going to be getting pass and bonus, and that's all I care about, really. Clean sheets are a bonus sort of thing. But I knew, I just felt the way Zuma started, he was going to be getting, looked at the stat, he was going to be getting pass and bonus, wasn't he? The amount of passes him and Thiago Silva. My only worry is when Rudiger then sort of made up with Lampard, and stuff. But yeah, I love all them sort of players that get you pass and bonus, because I'm saying when you keep 10 clean sheets all season, the amount of, they're basically getting an assist each week, aren't they, with a passing bonus? So, yeah, I love players like that. So,
what about for those who haven't got them? Would you recommend they get in 1 or 2 now?
Yeah. If you ain't got Diaz or Zuma, even Gabriel, they are the players the ones that are just getting passing bonus most weeks. I know Gabriel ain't got a couple of weeks and stuff, but he does most weeks, doesn't he? But the only worry is Arsenal ain't very good, are they? It's the only worry with that. At least Chelsea can keep some clean sheets now and stuff. And Man City, Diaz. And I was a bit, because I had been looking at Cancelo or whatever, because he's 8.2, isn't he? He's cheap. And it's he is nice. And then that's typical, isn't it? Then, but I don't know. I would have thought he was a pretty safe bet. Do you know what I mean? But then it's Mendy's back and he scored. And yeah, so I still think it'd be all right. But I'd say Diaz is safe. But then even Stone started, didn't he, Saturday? But they're all going to, like I said, these games coming up with Christmas, like I say, you're bringing someone for 3 for 1 that probably only played twice, just because that's what happens. I remember bringing in Vardy. That's why I hate him. Bring him in this time last year and whatever, and then he just totally rested him, didn't he, for a game? And it was that was out of the blue, and it's
I think most players will get a rest for a game or half a game over those 3, won't they?
Yeah. So,
you'll be very lucky if you get a full 11 every single week.
Especially with some of their managers trying to prove a point now, aren't they? Klopp and I think they're just trying to prove a point now by resting them and taking them off early and stuff. So yeah, you'll be lucky to get them to start all 3. I'd probably safer say going for someone like Everton or without the European games and stuff.
Yeah, Europe finishes. They've got games this midweek and next weekend.
Couple more.
Next midweek, and then I think the following midweek is the midweek Premier League round.
Yeah, 15th, 16th. Yeah.
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 I think I'm changing my mind on Zuma. So after watching him earlier against Spurs, every time I watch him, every time he makes a pass, I kind of, I curl a toe. So I've been curling every time. He just gets the ball all the time, doesn't he? And they just knock it between him and Reece James, him and Thiago, him and Reece James, him and Thiago. It looks like he's nailed that place. And
I think if you can put Diaz, Gabriel, and Zuma in your team, it's not a bad starting 3, is it?
Definitely not. And that's exactly what Dan's got, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've got 2. I'm thinking of going Zuma as well, but
yeah, I've got 2 in both teams, I think.
Yeah. How about you, Paul? You've got 2, is it?
Same.
You got
the same. Yeah, I've got Diaz and Gabriel.
Yeah, I've got Zuma.
My teams.
It looks good, and and then when we're talking about
that gives you the funds then to move as much money as you like, really, into the front 7, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Imagine most folk will have Dallas, so that makes up your back 4. Nice all.
Yeah. Then you can play 4-4-2.
Yeah, I know Dallas hasn't hit bonus too much recently, but I can see him moving back to left back and start picking up the bonus again. I think
as well. I thought that that Zuma was probably the inferior one out of the 2 with him and Silva, which he maybe is. But Silva's also 36 years old, and he's not going to play every game over Christmas either, right?
He's going to get a rest first.
He's going to get a rest first. So I do, I'm starting to come round. And Dan, you were.
How are they doing in the Champions League? Are they nearly qualified, Chelsea?
Yeah, they have.
I think they're through, aren't they?
They have qualified.
Right, so he can get his rest in the next 2 midweeks, then, can't he?
Yeah, he had a rest last week as well, didn't he, Silva? He didn't play the last game because he had a long flight.
Coming back from Brazil, weren't he?
So yeah, I think
who's in the League Cup semi-finals? Man City's in there, isn't it?
Chelsea,
Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle,
and Brentford.
Are Everton in there?
Arsenal.
Hang on, we named 6
teams.
6 teams.
I think it's Chelsea, Man City, Brentford, and Newcastle. I want to say. It's quarterfinals, isn't it? I think is it?
Yeah, quarterfinals it is.
So it's 8 teams,
and that's the week before Christmas.
Yeah, yes. There's that to think about.
Tuesday, Wednesday, I think.
Yeah. So there's all this think about. But all the guys in the chat asking about those defenders, you haven't got them. You can get all the captaincy hauls you want, right? These boys. So just now today, so Diaz got a 9 yesterday, Zuma got a 9 today, Gabriel just got a 10, Dallas just got a 7. That's like 35 points just for your, the mainstays of your team without even thinking about it. Even Romeo, who we've mentioned, got tackles again or whatever he got, so that's another 4 points. Whereas, I'm sure we've all had big captaincy blanks. Look at PVA this week. Okay, we're a bit unlucky there, but just I get him in and leave him in.
Yeah, I've got the League Cup quarterfinals here, Andrew. Arsenal v Man City, Everton v Man United, Newcastle v Brentford, and Tottenham v Stoke.
So Chelsea don't play in it as well. So it's not like they would have to play Silva in that game.
Okay, all right. Question off Mark. All right, just while we're on defenders still, are we giving up on Liverpool defenders altogether? Is Matip not a good option for a pass bonus defender? A good price.
It might be if you played.
He's just injury prone, isn't he, Matip? And
yeah, he'll only play. I'm a Liverpool fan, and he will only play 1 game a week, 2 if it's desperate, and then he certainly won't play the 3rd if he's played 2.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout.
He hasn't played more than 2 games a week for a long while.
If Van Dijk was fit, yeah, he'd probably be a good pick. But I said, like, when Van Dijk got injured, I just don't fancy any Liverpool defender. That's why I'm glad I didn't have Robertson, because I know he got an assist or whatever. Well, I know he got chalked off, didn't it? But he's just too much money for a team that aren't going to keep clean sheets, and I don't know.
Yeah, and his bonus used to come from passing to and from Van Dijk.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I
think most have moved on to Diaz, haven't they?
I think so. It was like an easy move on it, or onto Robertson, who's done okay, to be fair. Robertson, he was really he's really lucky yesterday. He went from a 13-pointer to a 2-pointer in the matter of 5 minutes, didn't he? So
seconds, yeah.
It was a little bit unfortunate there. So we've had some questions in. So these are some questions off Twitter, and we've had a lot of chat around goalkeepers. A lot of chat. We had one off Tom Hartnell. I need to change my keeper from Patricio to someone slightly cheaper. Wolves also have crap fixtures. Best keeper for 6.6 and below. So he says Fabianski, McCarthy, Martinez come to mind. I know we also had a lot of other questions on Twitter around that, and also a lot in the chat as well. Paul, can I ask you this first?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I would look at your plans for the month. I know Ian's a big advocate for this. Make sure that you've got enough money for the moves that you want to make. If that means that if that still leaves you with 6.6, then I think McCarthy's a good option if you don't have a cover for the Southampton Brighton game. But the extra game you're getting made up for Villa, for Martinez or for Fabianski tomorrow night. So I wouldn't look at that game in isolation and think, I'm getting 2 games out of the person, because they both. Because Southampton played today, and you'd get the extra game for moving on tomorrow, so you'd get Martinez or Fabianski there. I think if budget's no option, I would pick Fabianski. If you think that you might need the budget down the line, I'd probably pick Martinez.
Yeah, what do you think, Paul? Ian, sorry.
Again, I would always echo the same as Paul. Check the rest of your team first and work out how much money you've got. If you can spend as much as you like, Fabianski is the best on value, 9.09 points per million. Meslier, 9.02. Darlow, 8.71. Martinez, 8.1. And then Johnston, 7.23. McCarthy, 6.97. So I would probably agree. I'll go with West Ham, and you get the extra game. But it's more of a budget choice than. You never know. If you spend all of that 6.6, you might find in February you need a 0.2 or something. Are you then going to need to move another keeper change?
Yeah,
and how many points are you going to have saved? I mean, they've scored between 60 and 46, all of those goalkeepers. So it's a 14-point difference. I think you might, that 0.1 that gets you something between Salah and Mane, for example. I know it's more than 0.1, but you get the drift. It's going to get you more than 14 points.
That's fair enough. Dan, thoughts on keepers if you had Patricio?
Basically what everyone said, look at the transfers you want to make and, get the keeper that allows you to do that dream move. Like I love Aguero. Do you know what I mean? I think he's 0.1 more than Kane. I think that's right. But do you know what I mean? I want to make sure I had that 0.1 that I could flip Kane to Aguero if and when he's back. I've got Martinez. He's cheap. Like I said, all them keepers, Guaita, rubbish. Martinez, you're all going to not get many points between them. So I've just gone for the cheapest one that allows me to do the rest. But I don't think anyone's mentioned, but I really like Mendy at 7 million. I think for 0.4 more than McCarthy at Southampton, you can have the Chelsea keeper who looks great. Do you know what I mean? And but I know you're then saying the money sort of thing. But yeah, I like him. But otherwise, yeah, just stick one of them cheap ones in. If you can get a captaincy, like I say, if you bring in McCarthy and he covers you for that game, if you want a keeper, he does fine. But yeah, I said I'd stick with Martinez and I'll have him all season unless he gets injured because
or at least till the overhaul anyway.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
What I would say though is if you don't need the cash, I would just stick. I wouldn't make a goalkeeper transfer if I didn't need the cash.
I think that's important as well. Is like there's no point just looking at a goalkeeper transfer, just for example, just to get an extra game in the next week or two, right? You don't want to be moving your goalies out. So this is till overhaul. Right. So this is another 18 odd game weeks I think it'll be. So I do it wisely. I personally think I think Meslier I think he's a little bit less than Martinez. He tends to make a lot of saves. Leeds look decent as well. But if you're doubling up then with
you're saving 0.2
Dallas, there. I think he's a good shout. But I wouldn't mess around with your keeper personally. I do think that.
I like Dan's shout as well with Mendy, but would you rather have Mendy in goal and a Villa defender, or Martinez in goal and Zuma as a defender?
Yeah, it's a good shout. That's it. Yeah, I think advice all round is probably leave it, and unless you're desperate.
Yeah, leave it unless you need to. Yeah,
just move on to someone like Martinez or Meslier or someone like that, right? As well. There is obviously an opportunity next Monday if you haven't got a captain, if you want to go on McCarthy or Ryan anyway, there's an opportunity to do it then. I wouldn't do it just for that game personally, because obviously that's a bit short-term sort of thinking, but that is an option as well. If you do, like McCarthy, who's obviously been playing really well and making a lot of saves as well.
Jump on Martinez tomorrow, can't you, mate? Because Villa haven't played, are they? So Villa play West Ham tomorrow.
Yes.
Just jump on him. Some people have mentioned Fabianski and stuff, haven't they? But I say, I wouldn't really bother messing about with it too much.
At Sam Sky FF, so he's talking about Chelsea coverage. Would you go for an attacker who may have a higher ceiling but could be rotated, or a defender who is more likely to play all the games? The concern is you only get to see Chelsea starting 11 on December the 15th, so he's echoing what kind of Ian has said there. And Dan, what do you think about that? So are you planning on just sticking the captaincy on Zuma, or would you be going for a bit more upside with the attackers, do you think?
Because I've got Zuma, like I could save a transfer, not bring in Werner. Like we had Werner at the start, didn't we, for them 4 games, whatever he did.
Yeah, he did do a lot, didn't he?
He looks so lively. Like he did score today. I know it then got ruled offside, but he's lively. He's always sort of, wouldn't surprise me if he does get a hat trick or he looks lively. So I can't deny he does look good, and for that. But I just think I could just save a transfer, Captain Zuma, and get passing bonus guaranteed. Possibly a clean sheet. I've got 20 points. I bring in Werner, captain him. He don't do anything. He's got 4 points. And I think I've used the transfer and I cost myself
like 6 points.
70 points or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So
I think that's a really tough. Good shout. And I think, due to that and the fact that Zuma is doing my editing anyway, I think I'm going to bring in Zuma when I can with that in mind as well. It just gives me that maybe extra excuse, I suppose, to bring him in, because he's amazing value anyway, right? And on my hands up, Dan.
He's 4th best on value for anybody.
Yeah, and he's bloody dangerous. He nearly scored a header last week. It went just wide, didn't it? And he headed it, and I was like, oh, please no. And it just went wide, but he's very, very dangerous. So yeah, I think that's a good shout, actually, and a really good question there from Sam. Ralph.
Yeah, he's got.
Sorry, you can go on.
Sorry, Andrew. Of the defenders, he's got 8.97 points per million. Next best on defenders is Stuart Dallas, a whole point per million less, 7.97. Yeah.
It's good as well, to be fair.
Yeah, well, you get both in.
Yeah. At Ralphie Hearn, so Paul, he asks you specifically, who do you like at 7.3 or less? Taking Robbo out to fund moves for Salah or Kane, midfielder. I thought you'd say that. He puts thinking clique or cliche, but Armstrong Romeo offer an extra fixture. I think Romeo. Is that everyone's answer? I think Romeo.
Well, you weren't asking us. You only asked Paul.
He did ask Paul. Well, I think that's one of those lead-in questions, isn't it? Because he knows Paul was going to say.
I'll say it.
That's my boy.
Yeah. So our advice so far on the podcast is get Zuma, move PVA onto Romeo, and which changes the formation, allows you to make those other moves as well.
And then you daisy chain for Bruno, Vardy, and Salah.
I think we get a bit of a plan here, aren't we? Really, a really good plan. It's good. And Ian, I'll ask you the last one off Dan Wright. Thoughts on Jota? Good question. He's just like, I wouldn't say like broken the game, but he has just chucked in a massive, curveball. He's 9.1 million. He's had 5 goals in 5 starts and 3 sub-appearances.
Is he a striker in this?
He is.
Yeah, striker.
That's the killer.
Yeah,
he's a striker.
That's the problem. Yeah, I like the idea. If you can do a double up with Salah and Jota, I quite like it. But are you then putting your attacking eggs in one team's basket?
I think you are, and I think it also means then that you're probably not going to be able to get to that 5 at the back with Zuma, Dallas, Diaz, and whoever else as well, because you'll have your 3 up front.
Because you're not going to get another striker in, are you? That's the problem.
So no, I think
at the price, I prefer Chilwell. If I was going to spend 9.1 million.
Yeah, because you're probably not going to captain Jota over Salah, are you? I suppose is the thing. It's an extra. It's a whole extra team. The captain there, isn't it, as well? Dan,
if you're going to put Jota in instead of Salah,
well, yeah.
Well, what else are you going to do with the cash?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. You could have your Kane, your Kane, De Bruyne, Bruno, Vardy. You could even do a double up on Laporte and Diaz, something like that. Not sure. But yeah,
it's one for somebody to plan out.
It is. But if you go Jota over Salah, which I've done in FPL, because I think FPL is different in the way it works with the scoring.
A lot better pricing.
I think it's worth
FPL, isn't it?
Yeah.
And its position as well.
It is exactly that. Whereas in this game, I personally don't think.
And the pricing's not as good here, is it? He's 9.1. Salah's 12 and a bit. So he's like 75% of the cost. Whereas in FPL, he's about half the cost.
Yeah, exactly that. So, anyone, A Blue, Andrew, how do you keep talking about making transfers every week and then claim to have 30 plus transfers left? There's a lot of something claims being made.
I've got something on this, guys. So, when I was here last time around, I said I wanted to have 35 transfers left by the week before Christmas, yeah? And it was an ambitious target, and it's been blown out the window.
Of course it has.
But I had a look and see why I made my transfers. And I've made 7. The first one, I did Aubameyang to KDB in game week 2, which I think pretty much everybody did. It was 2 for none. It was a captain. It was the right move to do. So the next ones I did was 2 together. I did Jimenez out for Ings, which was a captaincy and a form, because Ings had a Sunday game. Jimenez had played on the Friday. Then I think Ings was due to play the next Friday on a captaincy day.
Yep.
And at the same time, I did James out for Gabriel because James was injured. So that was 2 transfers that I didn't really need to make, but they were for injured players and for captaincies. And then Ings got himself injured, didn't he? So he came out for KDB, who was back from injury. And then I did Pulisic out because he was injured. So Grealish came in because he was in good form. So that was 2 more transfers, both for injuries. And then the last week I did Salah out because he was injured. So Vardy came in, he was in form and he was a good captaincy option. And then the only other one was Harvey Barnes went out for PVA for a double captaincy. So 7 transfers used, but only to cover injured players and for captaincies.
Yeah.
None of which you'd call a vanity transfer.
No. I think that's really good going, actually, because it's been hard this year, because especially with all the chat every week in it around who we want to move to, who's looking good. There's been a lot of options as well. I think that's good, and I think in all fairness, the three of us are I've used 9. 2 of them are ones I probably didn't want to make. I think I kind of rushed the injured Ings onto Wilson, I think it was, wasn't it? I think that's the one move which I probably regret.
But that, mate, that if he hadn't got that injury in that game, we'd have kept him. He'd have been captain Friday.
Would have been
goal, lovely job. We'd have then had him for next Friday against Villa. That was a good move. That weren't a bad move, mate. And we just frustrated that night, and we both got rid of him. But that was a good move.
It's because he got injured.
Because he got injured, I was just annoyed, and I thought he's probably going to be out, so let's just get rid of him. But that was a good move, and that's the sort of thing. Sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't, do they? Do you know what I mean? But that would have been. If you're using your transfers for those kind of things, that's the right time to use them. Yeah. What you shouldn't be using them is a bit like these guys in the top 10 and the top 100 have used. They must be using 4 or 5 a week for no good reason.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's just hopping from one luxury transfer to the next, isn't it? Right. So just to answer his question, because he's pissed me off a little bit. I've used 9, mate. I'm really, really clear on what I've used every single transfer on. I'm very transparent on Fantasy Football Hub. I write my article every single week. If you want to pay and join the Hub and read my article along with everything else you get on the Hub, you carry on. But everything's there completely. I'm told he's saying there's a lot of bullshit going on. There's absolutely not. If you don't like it, get off the stream, mate, because we're not. We're really open and transparent. We're doing this to help guys, not the other way around. I'm like, bloody hell. Jesus.
I could be watching on a celeb, mate. Do you know what I mean?
This is it.
To be here.
Heck. He are just lying, like, do you know what I mean? So, anyway, sorry, guys.
Fergie's rant.
Fergie's hairdryer, we'll call that one, like that.
It's a while since you used a hairdryer, mate.
Yeah, thank you. DM asks, what do we think the best formation is looking like this year? This is interesting because it's changed a lot, I think. At the start, it was all about attackers and penalty takers and whatever else, wasn't it, right? But I'm certainly looking now towards 5-3-2, I think, going into the next month, talking about Zuma. So the kind of team I may be looking at, I mentioned, and this is how open I am, mate. So I'm going for so I've got Diaz, Gabriel, Ayling and Dallas. I'm probably going to look to add Zuma, but I'm going to do that after I've done all the Bruno and Vardy moves. Then I'm going to have Bruno, KDB, Grealish, probably Ain and Salah, I think. I think that's the kind of 5-3. Look at Paul smirking. I probably just I missed Romeo out there somewhere. So maybe I have to flip a little bit.
Sounds like a lot of transfers, Fergie.
No, it's not. It's only thanks, mate. I think it's 3. From kind of where I am now to where I get. But I personally think now, looking at it, that Zuma move to 5-3-2. Dan, what do you think on formation at the moment?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. That's I do love them defenders to get the pass and bonus and clean sheets. So is it maybe season's calmed down a little bit? Because at the beginning it was just mental, wasn't it? Like Liverpool 4-3 against Leeds and stuff like. No one was keeping clean sheets, but yeah, maybe it could be back to the old 5-3-2 always used to be the sort of main one, wasn't it? Because all the values in defence with them defenders and all things. So I don't see why not.
What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I'm not really got anything to add. 5-3-2. Now that the bonus magnets around the 8 million brackets kind of emerged, they're providing the best value in the game just now.
Yeah, you
think 5-3-2, or if you want a little bit of flexibility, 4-4-2.
I'm just thinking
5-3-2 doesn't give you much wiggle room, does it?
Because if you've got the 4, if we're all thinking of getting in Romeo, for example, I think we've got Grealish, and assuming everyone wants KDB and Bruno, that is 4
and Bruno.
So maybe maybe it's not yet, but moving towards that. If we eventually move off Romeo or Grealish.
So if you work your plans out, you can go between the 2, can't you?
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Don't leave yourself where you're in a position where you want to bring in player X. Oh, I can't get him in because I've got the wrong formation.
Sorry, Paul, what were you going to say then?
Yes, there is some good striking options around the 8 million mark. So, you know, if you found that you wanted to cover captaincy and switch around from 4-4-2 or 5-3-2, like Bamford's 8.2. So if you're doing three for ones for almost guaranteed points, you could use the defenders and kind of moves like that.
Cool. Okay, let's move on to game week 13 plans. So it's funny actually because I haven't really looked at this much because we only had them, didn't we? Was it on Friday? I think we only had these on Friday, didn't we? So Friday,
Thursday,
late Thursday. Sorry,
yeah.
So Friday, 4th of December, we've got Aston Villa versus Newcastle. Then on Saturday the 5th, the early game is Burnley Everton. Then we've got Man City Fulham, which is looking, especially after this week, that's looking like a beautiful game for Man City players. Even though Fulham, I do think, could potentially score a goal, or got a better chance of scoring a goal than Burnley anyway. West Ham, Man United at 5:30, Chelsea and Leeds at 8 o'clock, and then on Sunday we get to see West Brom versus Palace lineups. That's an exciting one. That's
beautiful.
Where Van Aanholt for me will be we'll be doing a memorial for him in terms of his time in my team, I think. We then got Sheffield United against Leicester, Spurs and Arsenal, and Liverpool and Wolves. So, potential there for, I think with Kane as well against
Just one
Arsenal.
thing on that, Andrew.
Yeah, go on.
I had a look at this and I can't do Salah for Bruno and play PVA in that game. I'm going to have to move him to somebody else before that game.
You know what? I'm just thinking, I think I might be exactly the same. I think I need to do it for the 4-4-2 and maybe even for the funds as well.
I don't need it for the funds. I need it for the formation. But I didn't want to pull the trigger today on Romeo in case I don't want Salah next week.
I think I might have the same issue as you because at the moment I'm on 5-3-2. So yeah, I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to do the double change, aren't I? Which means I'm not going to get this game out of Van Aanholt.
Yeah.
Well,
you both just emphasised the inflexibility of 5-3-2.
Yeah,
correct.
This is the problem.
And that's why we're going to a different formation.
Yeah. And on Monday the 7th, then we've got Brighton, Southampton. So let's go to Dan. What are your plans for this coming weekend?
So Friday, Villa Newcastle, probably Grealish. I've got a Martinez, but just no Newcastle scoring the 90th minute or something break me out. So Grealish because he's his ownership done in it. It's just another day chalked off. Saturday, probably De Bruyne home to Fulham. Sunday, Salah against Wolves, and then do you want me to go on to the Monday or not bother? Because we'll be back before.
It's on there. Yeah, go on.
Monday. Do I might skip it, or I might bring Romeo in. I'm not sure.
I think the only reason I'm bringing Romeo in is to enable a move back to Salah. Otherwise, I think I'd skip as well. It just so happens that he's got that captaincy day. It's not something I'd actively move for. So I suppose I don't know. That's maybe a bit of advice I'd give, unless you're making that move because you feel it's a good long term move.
I don't mind missing like a single game. That's why we did the Palace one, but because they had the two games.
Exactly. Yeah.
It made sense. I know it was Palace, but it made sense. But one, you can skip one. Do you know what I mean? I'll say that, and it'll be about 4-0 to Southampton or something, and Romeo will score brace.
Is anyone thinking of captaining Kane over Salah on the Sunday are of interest?
Debated it.
Because he's got a good record against Arsenal, hasn't he? I know that like Liverpool home to Wolves, I'm not sure. I'm never sure with Wolves how they're going to kind of line up. No, is everyone on Salah?
I think I'll go for Salah, only because Liverpool have had a big break. And if they beat Ajax on Tuesday, or get a point even, I think, then their midweek game against Midtjylland the following week is nothing on it. So they go from Tuesday to Sunday this week. So they should be fit and firing. And
there's also Leicester away to Sheffield United, as Tom Hartnell and Andrew Patterson have just said on the screen. So Vardy's, he's away. He scores most of his goals away against bottom of the league, Sheffield United. Actually, James, Norman, they're all saying Vardy as well. So maybe Salah's not as clear cut.
That's one reason. One reason why not to go from Vardy to Salah is because of that game.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I was, the following week against Brighton, I was considering captain. Oh no, Liverpool's playing Fulham, aren't they?
Yeah, Fulham got moved to that day, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what we were saying on the midweek stream last week. I think Leicester v Brighton looked like the best captaincy, and then they changed Fulham Liverpool to the Sunday.
I think
and I was annoyed that at Brighton Southampton, I was adamant that it was going to be Friday night, and then they've done the European League teams a favour and put Tottenham, Arsenal and Leicester on the Sunday.
Yeah.
So they've actually moved the Brighton Southampton to the Monday night football for Sky rather than Friday night.
Okay. It's interesting how all four of us kind of naturally gravitated to Salah, whereas basically nearly everyone in the chat has gone for Vardy. They reckon Vardy's.
They haven't got Salah back in the team yet. That's why.
Is interesting.
I just, as a Vardy owner and captain, I just struggle to watch Leicester games when he plays, because he just, I don't get me wrong, he'll finish near the top of the scoring charts at the end of the season, but
you just don't know how he's done it.
The frequency of, like, I'm touching the ball and stuff like that's painful sometimes.
Indeed. Anything else apart? Obviously, I think Grealish on the Friday, probably a couple who held on to Wilson, maybe with his extra game in mind, maybe Martinez, Konza, ones like that. They're probably the normal options. Any love for Bruno away to West Ham over De Bruyne?
If City hadn't been playing Fulham, like if they played literally anybody else in the league, I would have considered Bruno based on his away form. But the fact that it's Fulham, and he'll be heavily captained. I think it'll be De Bruyne over Bruno.
Yeah, especially with Man City having qualified in the Champions League, you'd expect KDB to be rested for those games and play in the league. They've scored 2 points back on Liverpool this weekend, haven't they? So, and they get to play ahead of them this week. So, if they can put another marker down, you'd expect KDB to be in the side for that game, I think.
Indeed.
Do you think they're getting on a go Calvert-Lewin?
Yeah, away to Burnley.
Get to see the team sheets. I think De Bruyne will play, but there's always the risk.
Yeah, I think Bruno will definitely play at West Ham, so you could go that way if you don't fancy, or if you think Fulham aren't going to score, you can bang it on Diaz. Pep said that Diaz was going to play every game, didn't he? Pretty much. Yeah. So if you don't. We've said this before as well. If you've got one that's got 8 points and one that scores 12, the difference in getting the wrong captain is only 4 points. It's only if one scores 15 and one scores 1, that's where you're struggling.
There seems to be, I think on all 4 days there's going to be quite a split in captaincy. I don't think there's, I think it's obvious to me who I want to. I always tend to captain the same sort of player. Like on all those 4, I'll be captain attacking midfielders, right? Because that's the kind of player I like. The ones who like the multiple avenues to points and things. Whereas, there's a lot of chat around captain different ones. So could be some big rank swings. I think the only thing which I like on the Sunday is on that Sunday, I will own Kane, Salah, and Vardy. I think so. I'll own all 3 of them actually, because I'll be moving Bruno out. So anyway, let's move on. So we've got the Members League now. So I've got an update on the Members League. So in 10th place, John McEwen is in 10th place. In 9th, John Butchart. 8th, Kerry Vintis. 7th, Michelle Burnett. 6th, Chris Forbes, who's fallen a little bit. Stuart Below has gone up to 5th place. Colin Price has skipped up to 4th. Benjamin Lee has gone up to 3rd. Sean Robertson, who was top, is now 2nd. And in 1st place, Oliver Colgan with Altador's Army on 954 points. So that is the top of the Hub £500 League. And it is all change at the top of the 4 Nations League. So we've got on screen now, those who can see, we've got a big Scottish flag on top now. So this is up to date as of last week. In bottom place is the podcast team. Ian Dorrian up to 7th. Paul McAnulty, House Husband's Fave, up to 6th. Dan Cox up to 5th. Liam's in 4th. Dan's again then in 3rd, though I think your Zoomer points down will probably take you above me now for today. I'm in 2nd and 892. But Paul leads the way after his DCL captain over us last week, which killed us. So he's on 902 points. Paul, that's quite a decent rank, I guess, probably in the 500 or 600s. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. 524th.
I thought last night there was some quite healthy jumps, even though there wasn't any real standout performances yesterday. I personally moved up from like 1,200 to 700 odd, but I had De Bruyne as captain, had Diaz, and maybe I can't remember who else I had, but it wasn't much. And normally when you have that kind of result as a day, you normally kind of just hover around where you are, don't you? But it's interesting.
I think there's a lot of the top 100 from previous and the top 1,000, they're going to be dropping away now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, maybe. So.
The only thing that surprised me more at the weekend than seeing that James Rodriguez was the most transferred in was that Diaz's overall selected buys under 3%.
Still 3%.
2.96%. Wow. He's only owned by 21% of the top 1,000.
Maybe it's Diaz then who's doing
business. Yeah, nobody's been listening to the champ. Liam said that he was the first name on his overall team sheet.
Oh.
Yeah, because we were all a bit dubious on their overhaul, weren't we? We wanted to see another couple of games, but Liam did say, he's going in.
He did. Yeah. And was your team down in the top 1,000 as well then?
Yeah, last night, 950 or something like that. So hopefully another jump today. But yeah, it's all pretty compact. And like I said before, I'm pretty pleased with how we're all doing. It's, the top 100 aim, hopefully he's going to be there. So yeah, pleased with how it's going.
Yeah, I think there was only, was it 50 points between 1,000th and 5,000th?
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah. We saw in the chat, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't need more than a couple of decent captains to make that kind of money up.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think just to give some context to some kind of inexperienced sort of players. So we're like all three of us now are roughly in the top 1,000. I've got 31 left. I think Paul and Dan have got something like 32 or 33 left. But we would class that probably, I would say, as an excellent start to the season. I would say when we are certainly one at this kind of last time. Ian, I think you're a bit slightly less. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm. The team that I had at 2,500 last time is still 2,500. Okay. The team I had at 7,500 is now 3,500.
Oh, good. You're definitely climbing them.
And I've got plenty of transfers left in hand. So
yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, it seems like I thought the first four. Because I remember after that first weekend, we didn't captain or have Salah or Vardy, did we? And they both scored. They both scored hat tricks, or Salah scored a hat trick and
Vardy got two, didn't he?
And we were like ranked like over 100,000. They were like, "Oh my God, the season's over. It's awful." But it just shows that if you just constantly and this is where the defenders and the bonus points just tick along every week, don't they? Tick along every single week. They really do add up. So. No, it's good stuff. It's exciting. There's a lot of really good players up there as well. So it's going to be an exciting December. As we come out of December, it's going to be interesting because obviously that's when we'll have played all these games now, all these different sort of captaincies and variations of teams, and where we are after that.
Yeah, lots of games to come in January and February as well before the Champions League starts. It's either midweek Premier League games unless there's FA Cup.
Yeah.
So they're still going to be playing every other week. Twice a week, but they'll be playing Premier League games on those as well.
Yeah. Good shout there, Ian. Thank you very much for that. So finally, Dan, what's upset you this week?
Do you know, and I know this is a bit ironic, right? But I'm going to moan about people moaning this week because that has annoyed me, right? Like Liam said about he was going to bring in Van Aanholt for Monday. I never fancied it. I was always going to bring in Zaha. Obviously, wait for the team news. I know some people went early. That's why you got to wait for the team news. So wait, and then I was like, and I always say about having a backup plan, and it was like, oh Jesus, I didn't like Zaha was it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, do I? So one team I did it, and the other team I didn't bother because I just didn't fancy it. But I went for Van Aanholt, right? And I know it's a crap move because Palace are crap. Do you know what I mean? I knew it was going to be bad, but then I see a couple of people moaning like, terrible move, this, that, and the other. I'm like, yeah, but it could have been great. He was
5 minutes away from being like a 28-point captain, whatever it was.
Should have and could have and all this, that, and the other. But, if I'd have managed to hold that clean sheet out, and he weren't far off getting passing, or he was close to a bonus when he
got passing.
Sure. He did get passing, yeah. So, do you know what I mean? That could have been all right. Do you know what I mean? But it's not like one of these ones where you bring in like Calvert-Lewin last Sunday and he scores hat trick or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It was always going to be rubbish. But I see people moaning about it. But you got to make your own mind up. And like, if I hear things, I listen to other things. And like when Liam said about it, I thought, oh, I know he's a champ and all that. But I was like, but I don't fancy that move. And just have you know what you think and want to do. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to dig out James, but on the Planet one, he sort of talked like he sort of dismissed Gabrielle and Zuma sort of thing on their one, and I was sort of thinking, cool, now I well fancy them. Do you know what I mean? And you just got to do your own thing, sort of thing, and just sick of people when they're moaning about moves that we're suggesting. And so like the lottery, you got to have a ticket. If Van Aanholt kept 2 clean sheets and them two you could have been on for 30 odd points, couldn't you? So that annoys me. People moaning about things. Shilton's annoyed me this week, right? And Maradona, right? I watched that documentary. Maradona, yeah, I know but he was fantastic footballer, wasn't he? Like Ian probably know a bit more. He was,
he was very, very good. Yeah,
he was before my time.
Single-handedly gave Argentina that World Cup in 1986.
But like I watched that, he was getting kicked to pieces, weren't he, and stuff like that. And Shilton's moaning about it, wouldn't go on the same thing as him. Still wouldn't sell this. It's like Maradona's shorter than me. He's 5'6". Do you know what I mean? How's it? I just think
only just shorter.
Yeah, by an inch, but I am taller. But I just think, just shut up whining, you numpty. The guy's died. Do you know what I mean? Like, you should have got that ball or clattered him or something. Do you know what I mean? So that annoyed me. And then, did you watch the Spurs-Chelsea game?
Yeah.
Did you see the man of the match was?
Ndombele or something like that.
Ndombele went off after 65 minutes. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? This is the guy, the reporter, right? He's gave 3 or 4 dodgy man of the matches now. He's getting on my nerves. But, if it's a 0-0, surely it's got to be a keeper or defender, isn't it? Like, it's getting man of the match, like, preferably Zuma. But that's just annoying me, do you know what I mean? I think that's about it. I was just moaning about people moaning. But you've got to make up your own mind. We'll throw out suggestions. Like I said, like you said about Werner, I probably won't do it. You just, do what you do and own what you do. So that annoyed me. And also got a little tip, right? If, like me, and you're going to put on a bit of weight over Christmas, right? This is the new line I'm laying out to people, is that I've got a part of the film after Christmas and I need to put on a stone. So think about that if you want to tell people I've got a part of the film. And then, obviously, when it comes down, just say, your bit got cut.
Superb. Thank you very much, Dan. I can see you're very upset this week. But yeah, no, I'd second that really, in terms of just, we give options, right? So we all went for Van Aanholt. If he comes in, great.
Choice, if
he comes in, great. But, the odds are probably he wasn't. But it was worth one transfer for 2 captaincies. And as it is, he's still got 10 points, which is the equivalent of moving in 1 transfer for 1 striker who got an assist, right, on a particular day. So, all right, it wasn't amazing, right? But he's still got something. And actually, I saw a green arrow actually on that, in that week. It was only like 100 odd places or whatever, but you hadn't have done it, And like I say, if he had have kept the clean sheet, he'd have seen a big old jump. So he was the only one really, wasn't he? So no, I think that's right. Neto got man of the match according to Brownie in the Wolves game. He did look really good
well
to be fair. He did, yeah. It's good. It's gonna be interesting actually because I think he's quite cheap and
7.3 and Podence is like 6.6.
6.6, yeah. There could be options, kind of later on down the line because Wolves have changed now to a 4-4-2, haven't they? And they're basically allowing those lot to just to go and attack. And if Jimenez, obviously, really hope that Jimenez gets that he's fine and he's back soon. But if he has a spell on the sidelines as well, I think with Podence, he's actually a striker, isn't he? I think by kind of trade, so he may get a striking role for a while. So just
what do you think of Kilman now? Because that was Wolves winning today without him. Like it might have been different, I guess, if they hadn't won today, then you got to think that he probably won't be coming back in now.
I personally think they're 4-4-2. They've just gone and won at the Emirates.
Yeah.
Why would they change? So yeah, I think those who brought in in Kilman, it was a bit of a risk, a bit of a gamble. I think we warned it on here about he'd be hard to take out. But he is going to be hard to take out. So was he 4?
He's in 160 of the top 1,000 teams, Kilman.
Right. Oh wow, is it that much?
Yeah, 160. So I hope you got some money spare if you want to take him out.
Is he 4.8? Was he
5.3?
5.3. So you need another 0.8 to get to Kufal.
So Yeah, it's a player from Everton. I think you're thinking of it.
Sorry, in Nkunku. Yeah. I wouldn't go near him either. And Paul, your shout on Iwobi was right. I think, wasn't it, on Friday? That Iwobi might in that position. So really good stuff there. Okay, we've had a really, really long one this evening. Apologies for that. Obviously, great to have Ian on to run through all the fixtures. I would recommend to everyone, to get Ian's fixture planner. This spells all this stuff out in front of you. You can make your own decisions based on, you can find your own 3-for-1s and 4-for-2s. We've just
it's all there.
Looked at the ones, that kind of have jumped out to us. For example, the Bruno and Salah one, and maybe the Chelsea and Spurs. But there's so many moves, if you fancy other players as well, I would get that because it really, really helps. Ian, where can people get hold of you if they so wish?
You can get me on Twitter at PlanItSky, and you'll also see me on the hub with the Sky Transfer Planner, and I've also got one for the Telegraph, which will be updated this week, and one for Sun Dream Team as well.
Fantastic, thank you so much, Ian. Dan, any final words from you?
Yeah, thanks for everyone for listening to the podcast and YouTube and being here live and stuff, and your comments, and appreciate that. And if you can and give us a 5-star review and stuff, it all helps us. And yeah, on Twitter, Dan Cox 82. Catch me in there. This week's password's Maradona.
Brilliant.
I didn't have many last week. I'm guessing this because people couldn't spell hippopotamus, so I didn't have many last week.
Really nice. Well done. And Paul, where can people get hold of you?
At Paul McAnulty 1, MCANULTY.
Okay. And my Twitter handle is at Fergie22. Just want to apologise for my rant earlier. I've calmed down now. I do get defensive sometimes, so I do apologise to everyone for my rant earlier.
The guy apologised in the chat. We're all cool. We're all cool now.
Is he? Oh, okay.
We'll had a drink.
I do apologise. So this podcast and video will be on the Fantasy Football Hub, Sky and TFF YouTube channel, and also available in all major podcast platforms. If you like what you watched, please click like. That would be great. And remember to subscribe in the bottom right corner of the screen. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast and leave some comments. Our handles on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok are at FFH_HQ, and our podcast Twitter handle is FFH_Sky. So please follow and feel free to ask any questions. Our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you'll find everything you need for fantasy football, all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta stats, top player team reveals, Dan's article every Friday, and my article comes out on a Thursday, which does include my Sky team and my planned moves, same as Dan. Good luck to all our watchers and listeners this week. We'll be back next Sunday. Looking forward to Sky Game Week 14. We will see you all then. Goodbye all.